Hello everyone and welcome to PSGL here for PlayStation F9 around the streets of Baku here for what should be an exciting race with just 2 rounds left in the season. I'm your commentator Jackson and alongside me is Storm.
Yeah, I think after a chaotic Saudi Arabia Grand Prix, hopefully things have simmered down and this one's a little bit more free and we don't get any safety cars, hopefully, fingers crossed, but it is Baku. From one street track to another, we are here for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix with 2 races here to go in PSGL when we finish next week in Brazil. But the championship can be decided here tonight, and I'll hand you over to Jackson for all the permutations here in Baku.
Indeed, the championship can be decided. It was going to be quite a close championship if it wasn't for a certain someone not showing up. So, the top 3 going into this race are the 3 drivers that are still mathematically in the fight for this championship, of course. The leader, come on Rob, he's been strong throughout the entire season. He's currently in the pit lane, so he hopefully comes out soon so we can give you all a shot of his car. He leads this championship by 20 points going into this race. Now he gets 16 points for a win here. So that means if Cohen Rob finishes ahead of his 2 title rivals, then he's guaranteed to win the championship today. However, where it gets a little bit more interesting is that Bandini, second in the championship, all he would need to do is outscore Cohen Rob by 4 points to keep the title alive. He is not here. Bandini is not showing up to this race for whatever reason. And as a result will not be able to take the title fight to Cohen Rob, and therefore Bandini is out of the championship fight. However, Hyped Scholz is still in the fight in the Haas car. He still mathematically can win the championship. However, it's going to be much harder for him to keep this alive. He is currently 25 points behind the leader, and as we said, he needs to be 16 points behind the leader or less to stay in the title fight. So to do that, he needs to outscore Cohen Rob by 9 points, which is easier said than done. I think he's very much relying on either a very bad day for Cohen Rob or a retirement, because we're only 13 cars in at the moment. The chance of Cohen Rob just having a meh day. I mean, Cohen Rob could take home a. Let's work this out, shall we? If Cohen Rob were to take home a P4 finish, that would be enough to seal the championship, no matter what Hyped does, and that's no matter what Hyped does. In the event that Hyped wins, then P5 or lower, I believe for Cohen Rob would not be enough to stop Hyped keeping it alive. So it's. Hyped is very much in a position here where he has to get at least on the podium to keep this title alive, because if even if Cohen Rob retires in this race, if Hyped finishes P4 as he goes fastest for a 140.0, if he finishes P4, it will not be enough to keep the championship alive. So the chances are that this is going to be decided today. However, of all the tracks where we needed a sort of crazy race to keep the title alive, I think this is the one, Storm. What do you think?
Yeah, just off-track situation. Bandini is trying to make this race, so don't go anywhere at the moment, and get that popcorn and that drink ready, because we could be in for an absolute fantastic race. We may have a few safety cars along the way, but as I said, Dustley's out of qualifying, and I've just seen his car. Yeah. As Pachuca sets the fastest lap so far for pole position, which is Kid Smoke comes in with a 139.0, so round about just under half a tenth. A lot of sector 1 and sector 3 yellow flags. I think that may be a glitch.
Who knows at this stage. If Bandini did make the race, he only needs to outscore Cohen Rob by 4 points, which is slightly easier to do. A win and fastest lap would accomplish that. Well, a win would accomplish that no matter where Cohen Rob finishes. So if Bandini shows up and wins today, the title is continuing onwards. However, I am going to have to do a bit more maths, because I'm going to have to work out here fastest lap points. Of course, they exist, so that's something I have to take into account. And also on count back, who would need to be where. So I'll let Storm do a bit of commentary for a bit whilst I try and calculate all this stuff out.
Yeah, don't worry, he's not Michael Massey.
No, I won't be offering. I won't be offering any of the championship drivers like little extras just so I don't go to the stewards or anything like that. It's not how it works.
Yeah. But yeah, the people asking why we do have a low attendance for F9. It's not that the drivers don't like Baku. I think a lot of the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix has played a bit of a factor with drivers getting back home from potentially out at friends watching F1, as all of us like to do. But yeah, it is very unfortunate. We are expecting the championship rival of Bandini to attend this race. He is trying to get in, but Codemasters are saying no at the moment. So at the moment, with 11 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock, we have NLR Felix 1 in the AlphaTauri. Last week's race winner in America. He took the race win in some fashion, pitting early for the intermediate tyres. And yeah, he may just be looking for a second win in a row. We are in Azerbaijan for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. The shortest run down to turn 1, and as we saw in real life, F1, it can get a bit hectic, and if you're not ready on the brakes, we might just see a Lewis Hamilton moment. But we may also expect some safety cars, so do please be patient while they are going around, if there is any safety cars, as we have got a lot of information to get through tonight, as the championship could be won, it could not be, but we're going to be in for around about an hour and a half here, as we take you through qualifying section and the race for PSGL F9, as we gear up for Azerbaijan and then Brazil next week as the season finale here in PSGL. So we'll go on board with someone. We'll go on board with Carlsbury in the Red Bull. He's just going to cross the line. It is a very long as he goes into P6 with a 1:39.7. I believe my co-commentator is still working out the numbers for the championship fight, as it is going to be an epic end to the championship fight. And Kyle Robb is out on his outlap at the moment, so the only driver except Dustley not to sell a lap.
I have been doing some maths, and gave up about a little bit into it. My lack of familiarity with the PSGL point system makes this much harder. However, I promise you, no matter how it sort of ends, I promise you, let's hope that it ends in quite a convincing way, one way or the other. Let's hope that either Cole and Rob retires and Hype Trolls wins, or vice versa, because that's much easier for me to calculate. Of course, wishing no bad luck on anyone. But yeah, I will do my best, and I'll keep live updates a little bit easier, because it could come down to wins. If anyone is wondering in terms of wins this season, Kyle and Rob has 3 wins this season. They were at Zandvoort, Britain and Portugal. Bandini has 3 wins at Zandvoort. Wait, I said Zandvoort for the first one, that's because that's France. Ignore me. I've been doing maths, I've used up all my brain power already. Bandini has a win at France, Belgium and Italy. Notably, all 3 of his wins came in
Bandini
the first...
has now got into the lobby, so this is now going to get very spicy.
So now, forget everything I said earlier. This is back to square one again now.
Don't worry, this isn't Jeddah 2.0.
yeah, that's... oh my lord. Imagine if they'd put the championship finale in Saudi Arabia. That's just...
I don't think I'd want to turn up.
Honestly, oh... Anyway.
So Bandini's in the lobby, but has he got his car? Because you can turn up to a race, but you might not bring your car.
If I remember correctly, wasn't there a rule brought in PSGL just maybe after last race or the race before that, where if you join mid-qualifying, you're not allowed to join mid-qualifying because it glitches the lobby? I may be mistaken there, but there was a recent update to the game which caused issues.
At the,
I'll let you do that. I'll keep a watching brief of things at the moment. Yes, whilst the Drivers' Championship is quite a complicated one, the Constructors Championship is a little bit simpler, with a 13-point gap between the 2 top teams. The 2 top teams being Mercedes and Alfa Romeo. An unlikely combination, Mercedes being at the top, not necessarily surprising. However, Alfa Romeo being the team that joins them, slightly more surprising, I think it's fair to say. However, when you see the lineup, it's hard to be surprised by it, because Carl Roberts put in some great performances all season long, and there's been a couple of drivers in the second Alfa Romeo seat, but it seems like all the drivers that have driven for it have all been very top drivers. We've seen Penguino in it at the moment. Of course, we had Lewis GTX in it for the first few races of the season. Of course, won the first race of the season as Colin Robb goes up into second place. That title battle in the Constructors separated by just 13 points, so that's a little bit closer. So that's very unlikely, I believe, that'll end today. Especially given that, apparently there is 2 Mercedes in this lobby. Apparently one of them is Daniel Ricciardo, though, so I don't know if I believe that. Nice of him to show up if it is.
Just to bring you up on the rule briefing, should I say, Bandini is allowed to join the lobby mid-session, but he cannot set a lap or anything. He has to retire. I don't know if anyone's made him aware of that. Rule states here, because of the in-game glitch...
He's coming on the track now.
He can do an outlap. It's like a qualifying ban, I think, like setup type thing. I'll just go through the rules so people who are watching are aware. Because of an in-game glitch, drivers are not allowed to take part in qualifying after joining mid-session. They must retire straight away. Drivers leaving during qualifying are allowed to rejoin the session, but are not allowed to start to set new times. They must retire straight away. So he's allowed to join, but I don't think he's allowed to set a lap.
Okay, well, I'll stay with him for a little bit here. Let's just keep an eye on the weird Valtteri Bottas Daniel Ricciardo combination of a car that we're looking at here. It says Daniel Ricciardo on the timing sheet for some reason, but it's Bottas's helmet and number, but it's actually Bandini. I hope. So yeah, that is an unusual car to look at. But yeah, let's see. Does he come straight into the pits, or does he stay out on the track? That's going to be what's important to see here. So let's hope he does return to the pits, and it's all well and good, and he doesn't break any of the rules. Did it say what the penalty was for breaking that rule?
I will just have a double check. I don't think it does.
He does not pit. So
I have warned him.
So we're going to have a broken lobby here, aren't we? Lovely. So just warning everyone ahead of time, that is going to probably be a factor, so don't be surprised. As there's a little spinner up ahead, I believe, of Bandini's who comes around here, and that is Tietti Lars, who's had a little bit of an incident. I don't know what's quite happened there. Looks like he may have just been letting a car through. Looks a bit too slow there, so we'll have to... looks like he's all alright, so he's continuing to move, so that should all be okay. But let's ride on board with Bandini here as he sets his lap around the streets of Azerbaijan. It is a tight circuit. It's like a slower Saudi Arabia is the best way of describing this place. Making his way through this little tight chicane, a very tricky pair of corners, because they very much are still. It's basically a chicane, but it's a stranger one than that. But Bandini, as he makes his way up the castle section now, but a decent lap first for his first lap, hasn't broken any track limits yet, which isn't impossible around Baku. And so far so good for Bandini on his first lap of the session on the soft tyres. He's going to want to get this lap in quickly so that he has time to get another lap in, so that could be a bit iffy for him there as he makes his way into this corner. He takes the esports line, sends it flying over the curbs, and gets a somewhat decent exit now into the final corner, gets it into the apex. On the exit, uses all the road now, powering down the straight. Let's wait and see what sort of lap time will be put up here by Bandini through the final couple of flat out corners. They're not really corners for these cars. Now DRS will be open for this final part of the straight, and let's just check he does not pit, so he's definitely going to set this lap time. And what's it going to be? It is 12th fastest, so not a great lap, but it is a lap on the board nonetheless, and I imagine he probably didn't get any practice in, as it sounds like he sort of rushed into the lobby. So for a first lap potentially off the track in some time, that's a good first lap there for our championship contender.
Yeah, just to bring up to speed on the Bandini situation, I just spoke to Dustley, the admin. Bandini must now retire from the session. It won't break the lobby if he retires now. It's if he doesn't retire the car. He has been instructed by the admin to tire the car in the pits, so he cannot set any further laps. So that's his qualifying over. So he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to get up to Kai and Rob.
Yeah, that's. I mean, of all the. Yeah. I don't know if you want to start at the back, really, in Baku. It's one of those tracks where you sort of say, well, anything can happen, so you can find yourself up the order quite quickly. Equally, it can be one of those tracks where it's anything can happen, you can find yourself on the back of a crashed car quite quickly. So, it'll be one of the two outcomes, I fear, for Bandini today, chasing that championship contender label. Because, of course, if he doesn't have a good day today and Carl and Rob does have a good day, chances are Carl and Rob will be crowned champion and Bandini will find himself... well, nothing really to fight for. I mean, he's going to have the Constructors Championship to fight for going into the finale, but I think he wants that driver's glory, or at least a chance of it going into the finale, I believe, at Interlagos. Bandini here, is he going for back-to-back laps? I think that's what he's done, actually. But that is slightly controversial, so I think he might be building up to another lap here. With just 2 minutes left in the session, some of the cars are on the circuit. I don't really know what Bandini's planning on doing here. I hope he does abide by the regulations, as Felix 1 does go to the top by 2 tenths there over Tucson. But yeah, Felix 1 having a strong few races at the moment, Storm.
Yeah, we all are questioning how Bandini has enough fuel to do these amount of laps, because he must have overfueled the car. Yeah, but back to the actual higher up the qualifying session. Felix 1 up there again with a 1:38.3. Tucson up there again with a 1:38.5. So 2 tenths separates them with Kai and Rob on P3 at the moment with a 1:38.7. They are all on outlaps. Are they going to make the grid for the not the grid, the lap?
Well, there's a train of cars now that have just started their
they've
final
just
laps.
made it. Yeah, Bandini won't make it. That's
yeah. Oh no, I think he will make it. He will make it. Someone's gone around. That's Pinguino.
Yeah,
he's gone around, looped it the first corner there. But Colin Rob is on a lap, and he's getting a lovely little slipstream from Tucson. But this sort of group of cars are perhaps going to cause themselves some issues here. Because, I mean, I don't know. Maybe the dirty air is just not that much of an effect around here. But they really are battling over having a slipstream and qualifying. It's like it's Monza at the moment, seeing these guys go around here in a train of cars. But, you know, if it works for them, then it works for them, I suppose. I suppose we may see a couple of cars going out of tow. And that is Colin Rob invalidating his flying lap. And that is his flying lap over. And that'll be him finishing, qualifying a highest of P3 there. So, not ideal for the Alfa Romeo man and the championship leader. But let's have a look what Hype's doing. With Bandini not looking good at the moment. Hype is improving on his lap. But he's going to need to find a lot more time than he currently is if he would like to try and trouble the likes of Felix 1, Tucson and Colin Rob at the front. But let's have a look at these lap times as they come in then. Tucson will be the first to cross the line here. He has kept his lap valid. He's going to come down the main straight now. One final time, a very long straight, as you mentioned earlier. It is, well, it's a highway in real life. And DRS is opened. He's towing Colin Rob all the way to the line. It won't mean anything, though, for Colin Rob, as he is invalidated. Tucson goes to the top of the timesheets by just over a tenth of a second. Carlsbury jumps up into third. They're getting a lovely tow. Colin Rob will drop down to fourth. Lars is in the pits there, so he will not be able to improve. I believe it is Valabet who's about to cross the finish line, and he has invalidated as well. Let's see, Penguin, we saw he had that spin at the start of the lap, so he won't be able to do anything. Bandini's the only other person here that could trouble them. He is on a flying lap now, I believe. Let's see what the Mercedes driver can do. Can he put in a sensational final lap here to mix up the order? It's going to be a Mercedes on pole. That's one thing we do know for certain. Bandini's got the DRS open. He's heading towards the line now. And this is not going to be a competitive lap. And that means that it is pole for Tucson in the Mercedes, with Felix 1 lining up alongside him once again. Carlsbury with a great qualifying in P3. Colin Rob, championship leader in fourth. That's certainly a solid qualifying there if he's just trying to take home a decent result today and solidify himself as the F9 champion.
Yeah, a very good lap there for Carlsbury in the Red Bull. Had an up and down season, but yeah, just pipping Kai and Rob to the top three But yeah, it is a Mercedes on front row, which we're not. Well, we are used to it here. We're also used to it in real life as well. But yeah, it's. You mentioned Daniel Ricciardo in the Mercedes. Maybe something we don't know. Toto, if you want to get on the phone, let us know. But yeah, so there may be a lobby restart because Bandini has ignored admin's messages. As far as I'm aware, he was supposed to retire.
And it has glitched because, I mean, look, he's past the checkered flag and is still driving.
Yeah, he would now need to leave the session and then rejoin after the formation lap.
He screwed himself here. He really has. He's only. I mean, it's annoying for us commentators to have to sit and watch this. But realistically, in terms of the actual on-track stuff, the only person he's hindered by doing this is himself. Because he now finds himself in a situation where he's going to miss the race start, quite likely. And, I mean, honestly, maybe it's safe to be in AI mode for the first lap around Baku, but it's still... That's a good opportunity of getting places that are going to prove crucial places for him in this race. And he's going to miss that chance, which is certainly unfortunate for him. And yeah, the time has stopped at 0:01, so yeah. That is a glitch lobby, and let's hope he leaves.
Just looking at the chat, I think Bandini may have blocked a few drivers, because Vavabet is complaining that, Bandini got in his way, and that's why he's starting P10.
That is quite possible. Of course, we haven't seen any of these incidents live. I'm just going to, for the sake of Bandini, throw this one out there. Could there have been some sort of, like, I don't know what the phrase is, some sort of lack of connection between Bandini and the lobby? Could that cause for him to not necessarily see all the other cars or be out of place for where he actually was?
Yeah, I have actually no clue what's going on. Apparently, Bandini's using a glitch, which, until he retires or he stops, we are just going to keep going doing lap and lap.
And lap. Or in this case, crash and crash and crash by the looks of things. I mean, I know he didn't have much time to practice, but that doesn't mean he uses qualifying as his practice session. That isn't a fair idea. I wonder what he sees in this scenario, to be honest with you, in the sense of what's actually on his screen. Because, of course, we all see that as 0 seconds on the time. We know it's the end of the session. We see everyone's finished. But does he know the session's over? Is this deliberately abusing the glitch, or is this accidental? Does he not realise? Has he just not checked the chat recently? Because that's quite possible. It doesn't make it okay, because he still should be checking it, but it at least sort of explains it.
The chat, because on his screen it will say 13 minutes left, which to us, it's not. It's actually finished. That's why he's doing lap after lap. Because he'll go back into the pits, he won't know anything unless he checks his phone, or whatever device he's using.
But this is a curious end to qualifying, I'll be honest.
And everyone else is still out on the track as well.
Yeah,
everybody out. Yeah. So they're going to be on some nice warm tyres.
Oh gosh, this game sometimes you can't entirely blame Bandini. Of course, to an extent you can. It's his fault he's not checking the chat. It's his fault that he isn't retiring. But equally, it's not his fault that the game has a glitch in which when you join mid qualifying, it just restarts the timer for you. Yeah, I don't know. It certainly is a strange one here in terms of all the glitches. It does surprise me with some of the glitches the F1 game has, because they're glitches that you wouldn't imagine. They're not.
Oh, he's just finally answered.
Oh, okay.
He's actually so.
And there
Jess
we go.
is kindly, he blocked Vava Bet, so that's going to be in the stewards. I wouldn't be surprised for the glitch. It would be a DSQ. I'm not sure, because if you go back to Austria, no, you wasn't here for Austria, was you? It happened to Jamie, but we finally have the qualifying grid. It's 2-7 takes pole position with Felix 1 in second, Carlsbury third, Karen Rob fourth, Lars in fifth, Kidsmoke sixth, Sunboy in seventh, Hype Shoals in eighth, I can't get my words out. Pachuca in ninth. Rounding off the top 10 is Vavabet 11th, Penguino 12th, Bandini, Paldi in 13th, and Dustley without a time in 14th as he crashed in qualifying. So it's a Mercedes AlphaTauri again at the front.
This is becoming a bit of a theme here, and perhaps something we'll see continued into next season. Of course, we have no idea who will be where next season, in terms of tiers or teams, so who knows. But if these guys do stay in this tier, then and stay in those teams, that could be a front row that we get quite familiar with. But yeah, it is going to be now time for the formation lap, and I will hand over to Storm there for the more official side of things.
Yeah, while the drivers are setting their tyre strategies and their fuel mixes, earlier this week we lost an icon to Formula One, which was Sir Frank Williams, the founder and previous owner, well, I wouldn't say previous, but main owner of Williams Racing. Such an icon in Formula One that PSGL will, well, myself and Jackson, alongside our drivers that will be racing here in Baku, will fall for a minute during the formation lap to pay respects to such an icon, which was Sir Frank Williams, who sadly passed away earlier this week.
That was a couple minutes of silence there for the one and only Sir Frank Williams. It's time now for the F9 Azerbaijan Grand Prix here in PSGL. Drivers making their way onto the grid. Top 10 all starting on the soft compound tyre, 3 drivers outside of it starting on the mediums. Bandini has now rejoined the lobby, and we prepare now for what should hopefully be an exciting race, and hopefully not too chaotic, but it's Azerbaijan, so I think we expect a little bit of chaos. The grid now lining up here with the final few drivers getting into their positions. Let's wait and see how this Azerbaijan Grand Prix goes down. Champion could well be crowned today, but it could equally continue one more race. So let's wait 26 laps. The lights are coming on now, the revs are rising, and we are racing in Baku. It's a good start for Tucson, but Felix One looks to have got a good start as well. Felix One's going to put it down the inside and take the lead into turn 1 of the race. They're both going to go wide, and that's going to allow Carlsbury straight up into the lead. Switch back on both of the leaders there, and Carlsbury leads the race with Carl Robb also pulling off a similar movement into the wall slightly there. Felix One grazing the barrier on the exit of turn 2, but it is Carlsbury who will lead the field down the straight with Carl Robb in second. A brilliant start from the pair of them from the second row of the grid. Diving now down into turn 3, Carl Robb defending from Felix One, who's had a well, less than ideal start, making the move in turn 1, but now finds himself under pressure from his teammate Tiati Lars. And there could be some yellow flags further down the order. Who's had an incident there? Looks like everyone's kept their cars going, but we've got a big battle here for the final few points positions, as they're double too wide here. So it's like pack racing through the midsection here at Baku. And up at the front it is Carlsberg, who's going to pull a little bit of a gap here. Brilliant start from the Rebel driver. Kept it clean into turn 1, and that got himself into the lead of the race as they battle up the castle section. And I believe everyone is going to survive it. Are they? Looks like they have. And yes, all the cars survive in the castle section on the first lap, but it's Carlsberg who finds himself in the lead of the race ahead of Carl and Rob, and Felix One is down in 3rd place.
Yeah, fantastic start there for Carlsberg as they come to the end of lap number 1, and Carlsberg will want to keep this position as much as possible and create that gap as they come down the long straight, but they've got to negotiate the left and the right sender a few times. Oh, there's a McLaren! That's Pachuca! He's had a spin!
That is Pachuca around in the McLaren there. Unusual place to spin. You'd assume there's been some contact there for him to go around at that part of the track, but nonetheless he has. I wonder if he's going to get away with any damage there or not. Let's see if he pits. The wing looks visually okay, and he is going to stay out, so you'd assume that is damage-free. Someone who is not damage-free, though, is Powdy, who is going to switch onto the medium tyres, and is going to replace his front wing here. Lap runner around Baku. Honestly, they only have one car in the pits with a wing damage. It's not too bad, I'd say, but Carlsberg out front. I mean, what a start from the Rebel driver. Really putting in some strong work here in the early laps of this race.
Yeah, definitely some great laps as well for Carlsberg, but can he keep Kyle and Rob behind? That's the main question, as Felix One and Lars may use each other as an advantage here to close up any gap to Kyle and Rob and Carlsberg.
Yeah, the biggest winner off that start. Oh, that's around. That's Lars, who's crashed in the castle section. From 4th place, Lars has buried it in the barriers, and a virtual safety car has been deployed here. It's a rookie error there from Lars, who's sent it into the barrier. Sure, isn't the that won't be the last person to have an incident in the castle section, but as an unusual part of the castle section to go straight in. He's not even got close to making the corner there. He hasn't clipped on his way up. He has buried himself into the barriers at the castle section, and is the first retirement from this race from a very strong position in the AlphaTauri car, backing up his teammate, and is now out of the race, and somehow it's only a virtual safety car. And we are now back up to green flag racing, but that is unfortunate there for Lars, who ends his race early and goes home. There were 14, there is now 13. Let's see how long that lasts for. Carlsberg does hold the lead though. I was going to say, before that incident happened, that the biggest mover off the start was Valabet. It was 3 positions, it is now 4, gaining from 10th up to 6th position there. Biggest loser off the start was going to be, well, a few different drivers it could have been, but it was most likely going to be Tusum, dropping from 2nd down to 5th. Sorry, pole down to 5th. However, with that crash, it is now Lars who's lost 9 positions on the first couple of laps of this race, so it's a mixed up order. Nobody, I take that back, one person has stayed in their grid position after the first 2 laps of this race, and that is Powdy down in 13th place, so it's been pretty chaotic in the first few laps here, but Tusum leading almost a second pack. He started on pole position, but perhaps he has some wing damage or something here, because he's nearly 4 seconds off the lead trio of drivers, and has now got a little bit of a train going on just behind him. That must have been a warning there as he cut that corner. And well, Storm, do you have any idea what might be going wrong, as that's a big slide up the hill, up the car section there for Tusum? What do you think could be going wrong for the Mercedes driver here? It's not seeming like he's got the pace he had in qualifying.
Yeah, I think with the nature of this track being so compact in, the tyres, the track just eats them alive. I think maybe the Mercedes, a little bit of understeer there, may just not be getting the traction he needs, the temperature he needs in them tyres to get them working. We see it so many times with Lewis Hamilton saying, oh, my tyres are dead to mono, but this time I think literally Tusum's tyres are dead. They aren't, at the temperature that he wants them at.
And into the pits there comes Kid Smoke after lap 3 of the race. Is that damage for the Williams car, or is that an early pit stop? This a little bit early for stopping if you're doing a 2-stop strategy. I think let's wait and see what the Williams driver goes to is a bit of a close call there with Hyped as he entered the pits. I think Hyped thought he was just defending the inside line, but Kid did get into the pits without any contact there, and brilliant camera angle. And it is just a change of tyres, so let's have a look at what tyres everyone's on. Seems that soft tyres, as you suggested, are wearing very quickly if you're pitting at the end of, well, end of lap 3 that was, so very early pit stop for the Williams car of Kid Smoke. But up at the top 3 are very much nose to tail here. Carlsbury leading the way with Cohen Rob and Felix One sitting in just behind. And Carlsbury, after a brilliant start, is now going to have to look in his mirrors, I feel, from the lead of this race. But, you know, if you're looking in your mirrors, there's no better place to be doing it than from the lead of the race. They're about to start battling here for second place. Felix One all over the back of Carmen Rob here. But these guys, they know they're in a good position, and by the looks of things, aren't really going to risk anything.
Yeah, I think with this track, it is a risk with high reward, as we saw in Saudi Arabia earlier on today. But it is going to be an interesting few laps now, as Karen Rob is closing the gap, but he just doesn't want to, I think, overtake Carlsbury, as he's, you know, it doesn't matter if Carlsbury does let Karen Rob through, because Karen Rob, I believe, would still be champion.
I think a big part of this is so early in the race. I think these guys are, as that is into the pits, Twosome, struggling on his tyres, and he's going to get followed in by Hype Scholes there, who also joins him in the pit lane. But looking at it so far, just look at the ERS numbers of these top two guys. It seems they're all pushing really hard in their ERS, and I've got a feeling that both Carl and Rob and Felix One are quite happy sitting in the DRS here, using that DRS to keep up with Carlsbury and saving some of their ERS here for the later stages of the race, because that will make sense in the long run here. If Carlsbury's burning up all his ERS trying to break away from these two and failing to do so, that means all he's going to be doing with these two in DRS is pulling them down the straights, whilst they can save some fuel, save some of their battery. It's right now Carlsbury is acting as a tow for both of these guys. He's really not in a good position right now. You'd think, oh, lead, where else would you want to be? But right now, Carlsbury, in terms of the long term in this race, he's not really in the best position right now.
Yeah, and I think with tyres here, they do go quite quickly as well, especially the softs. So Carlsbury, Karen Rob, they just might want to be, you know, keeping an eye on them, the tyre temperatures and everything. But what a start from the Alpines in 4th and 5th. You know, are we seeing an actual very good race for them? Because they haven't been anywhere near a podium place this season, I don't think. But yeah, Vavabet and Sunboy coming up trumps with the as Kyle Rob is into the pits. Is that wing damage?
No, that'll be a planned pit stop here at this stage of the race. I imagine they're going for the... Oh, he's got... That's Pachuca's crashed exactly where he crashed earlier in the race. And that is... And safety car is deployed. This shouldn't really hurt those that stayed out here. Let's have a look. This is going to maybe take a lap or two to figure out who this is going to help and who this is going to hinder. But the safety car is going to come out behind the leaders, which means everyone will have a chance at a free pit stop here. Hyped is going to lose out. Anyone who has pit is going to lose out here. So Cohen Rob and Twosome might get away with it, given that they came out whilst they're in the pit lane. So they're not going to gain that much. They don't want to lose too much time. But Hype Scholes is definitely going to lose some time there from pitting before the safety car. Carlsbury, great news for him. The Alpines in a brilliant position here. They were in a pretty solid position. They're going to be in an even better position now. And the question now is, which tyres do you go to? Do you go mediums to make the two-stop, or do you go hard and try and make the one-stop work? That is potentially a risk that you may have to choose between here. And I mean, Storm, if you were Carlsbury, what would you do in this scenario?
Two-stop, because there may be another safety car.
Very true.
You can't. If this was Abu Dhabi in UAE, I would have said hards all day long, because the safety car there is a lot less of a chance than it is in Baku. We've had 2 DNFs already within 6 laps. We have 20 laps to go. I think a two-stop may be the more stronger strategy to go for, because of another safety car, Because don't forget, Max Verstappen went on hards, and they didn't last. The same with, was it Stroll that did it? Which Aston Martin was? Yeah, it was. They didn't last, so maybe they are the tyre not to go on.
That is potentially true, and they are, by the looks of things, going to go to the medium tyres out front. I'll be surprised if the F1 game's that realistic and adds in Pirelli's hard, as that is Felix 1 that will go to the hard tyres. I'll be surprised if the F1 game has the feature of hard tyres blowing up at Baku. But let's see, where are they going to come out here? This is going to be Carlsberg, who just comes out ahead of Carl and Rob. Felix 1 going to be in 4th position, as they're going quite slowly. What is Carl? Oh, I must assume there's still Delta here or something. Carl and Rob going very slowly there. I think that's what Carl and Rob's done there. He has gone massively red on his Delta to get ahead of Felix 1, and has then just parked the bus in front of him, knowing he wouldn't be able to overtake, and has got his Delta back. So, interesting tactic there from Carl and Rob. I don't know how legal or how sporting that is, but I mean, it's worked for him. It's got him into P3 in a scenario where he probably would have been behind Felix 1 if he had not. So, not a bad idea there. It's Penguino who, though, does lead the race. He is, I believe he started on the medium tyres. He's still on the medium tyres. Interesting strategy call, but as you said, safety car's being so likely here. If another safety car does indeed come out, he's going to find himself in quite a nice little situation there. But he's going to have to spend the next who knows how many laps in a bit of pain with all of the much fresher tyre runners right up behind him at the moment.
Yeah, Penguino is the only driver not to opt for a pit stop. He's on 6-lap mediums, so that'll be interesting to see what happens with him. As the safety car is still out here with the Alfa Romeo leading. I think all F1 fans can appreciate this. It's going to be sad to see Kimi leave that Alfa Romeo at the end of the season. It's not where it wants to be. We know that. But it's so nice to see the Alfa Romeo at the front leading a race, especially when it is the team that Kimi does race for, as he's only got one race left. But yeah, I think we all can appreciate that Kimi, it's going to be sad to see him go.
Yeah, it is going to be sad to see Kimi go, but, you know, he's had his time in F1, and he had a good time in F1, I think it's fair to say. Probably didn't win some of the championships that he perhaps deserved to in the early 2000s with McLaren, but of course winning that championship in 2007 was a very nice treat for the Finn, who had a very successful F1 career. One of those sort of, I feel like one of those slightly more underrated careers as a whole. He's very much known for all the memes and that, but he, especially in his early years, was a very, very quick driver. But yeah, back here in the virtual world, Powdy's into the pits, and he has gone to a soft compound set of tyres. Now that's an interesting choice.
Yeah, they won't be lasting.
Yeah, they're going to maybe last 5-6 laps. That'll take them to maybe lap, let's say lap, we'll give them when the safety car comes in, probably going to be around lap 15. In which case he'll then maybe go to the mediums, have a better second stint. But I don't know, he's very much relying on another safety car coming out here.
I think a lot of drivers are relying on another safety car because it's so highly likely here. Just reading through the chat, there is a lot of support for Felix 1 and Bandini. Obviously, FVR Harry in the chat, obviously supporting his teammate in FVR Bandini. Yeah, so it's an interesting situation, because if there is another safety car, yeah, it is. It's gonna spice up the remaining 16 laps here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Of course, only 12 cars left in the race, so of course the chances of there being a safety car are decreased with the smaller field. But the safety car will hopefully be in this lap as it makes its way through the final couple of proper corners. Penguino leading the race. I don't know if he would have been expecting to be leading the race at any point today, but he does have found himself in the lead with his teammate in third. Could we perhaps see some teamwork here from the Alfa Romeo teammates to try and get his teammate past Carlsberg? That is potentially an option for that team, but the safety car lights are off. The safety car is in this lap, and all the drivers heating up their tyres desperately here under the safety car to get some bit of temperature into those compounds. I imagine Felix One's going to have the hardest time getting some temperature in. It's a very quick safety car restart here, going about 70 miles per hour. Is now going to slow it down a little bit more. But the pack here bunched up and ready to go. You're going to go quite late here in Azerbaijan with a long straight, but the late start finish line, he does now go. He is back up to racing speed. Penguino will lead them back to the green flag. Second place, Carlsberry's going to do all his best to try and stay with him, and maybe even have to defend from Carl and Rob here in the third position. They're battling behind, and that's Tunetank and Felix One battling it out through turn 1. We've seen these two go wheel to wheel through there before, of course, on lap 1 of the race. Felix One holds off here as Penguino already wheel to wheel with Carlsberry here. Penguino nearly in the wall, may have brushed it a little bit there, but it's Carlsberry trying to race past the Alfa Romeo of Penguino. Carl and Rob's going to watch on here, try and get involved in this little scrap, but Penguino surely going to lose the lead of this race. On the brakes, it's a big dive from Carl and Rob, but he isn't able to make anything happen there. Probably safer to just stay behind as they race into here. That's a bit of a send there from Vavabet to the inside of Tunetank. Maybe a little bit of rubbing there as they make their way out of the corner. They're still side by side, and Tunetank does get himself clear going into the next complex of corners. But it is Carlsberry who leads the way. Will Penguino let his teammate by? Yes, he does. Down the little short chute towards the next couple of corners. It is Carl and Rob who gets up into second place here. Penguino dropping from the lead down to third place on this safety car restart.
Yeah, very cagey opening lap after the safety car as Karen Rob picks it up into P2. He's got his teammate right behind him, and this is what Karen Rob needs. He needs that teammate behind him. It's like the Verstappen and Perez situation. Verstappen needs Perez behind him, and this will help Karen Rob if Bandini manages to get up that grid order. Yeah, this will just give him that reassurance that Penguino can do something to maybe just defend off Bandini, but Felix One may just have different ideas as he goes around the outside down to the start finish line into turn 1 and gets the move done on Penguino up to P3.
Gets it done nice on the brakes there. Felix One on the hard tyres, on a different strategy those around him. But it seems to be holding him back very little, at least at the moment, as he gets past Penguino. Penguino, on those older medium tyres, is struggling, as we would have expected. But I suppose he now sort of sees Felix One as an opportunity. If he can, Felix One isn't going to have quite the same pace as those on the fresher medium tyres, so maybe Penguino can sort of hold on to the slipstream of Felix One here, and try and keep with him here in the later stages of his stint. But it's not going to be easy for Penguino, as he, on these older medium tyres, they just aren't going to be delivering the grip as he slides out of that corner there. That is just a demonstration of how much he's struggling with Tunetank all over the back of him. It may well be a matter of time until Penguino gets to the back of the field, but to be fair to him at the moment, he's doing a decent job with the tyres he has available to him. And we said there could be another safety car. I mean, Powdy's 26 seconds behind the field already. Clearly some sort of issue there for the Aston Martin driver. But it's at least up in the lead group, very much single file, and not too many scraps going on at the moment. So, at least currently, the chance of a safety car seeming quite low, despite it being Baku. But, of course, it is Baku, so you can never really rule out a safety car.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of Baku. It provides the unexpected, but Penguino might want to start thinking about pitting because he is losing positions and people behind him are just closing the gap. As Carlsberry sets the fastest lap here with a 1:41.7 on the mediums, as DRS is now enabled, but Tunetank is right on the back of Penguino, and Penguino has got a bit of a DRS train forming right behind him.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's Felix One that's leading the DRS train at the moment. Penguino, as I said, sort of that his disadvantage to these guys on the fresher tyres is slightly smaller when he's behind Felix One, because Felix One is on those hard tyres. So whilst they're still probably going to be a significant amount quicker than the mediums, with Felix One out of the DRS of those ahead of him, it's a good opportunity for Penguino to stick with him and hold on to that DRS, but he just seems to be struggling a little bit through this part of the lap. The tyres not delivering the grip he'd want. And I think Tunetank, for the sake of his race, he needs to clear Penguino quickly, because I think it would be a pretty easy overtake. If he can get up behind Felix One, I think that would be a pretty easy overtake for Tunetank to make down the straight, because those hard tyres, at least at the moment, don't seem to be working quite as well as the medium tyres. but it is still a long way to go, and strategies could well change as, well, the race changes throughout it. And the one thing that we do know is that Carlsberg is leading this race, with a solid little lead at the moment. Of course, we saw him leading the early stages of the race, but it seemed like he got a little bit of a gap up. Not a huge gap, but a little one. But it melted quite soon after, sort of 3 or 4 laps into the race. He had Carl and Rob, Felix 1, all over the back of him. But here, him getting that opportunity to have a little bit of a gap early on the stint with the restart madness, it's allowed him to sort of give him a little less less to worry about. He doesn't need to worry about defending here. He's got a 1.9 second lead. That isn't going to be attacked unless he makes a mistake. As Tusum does make the move now on Penguino, nice and easy into turn 1. Does go a little bit deep, so Penguino could fight back, but I doubt he'll want to, as Hyped is sitting behind. That's our bet as well, actually, in this fight. But as I was saying, yeah, Carl Rob here, in the second place position, 1.9 seconds off our leader. He's too far back to really be putting any pressure on Carlsberg, which means Carlsberg is sort of getting this opportunity to race his own race, not having to look in his mirrors, just drive at his pace without any issues. And behind Carl and Rob, there's Felix 1 on the hard tyres, even less of a threat, at least at this stage of the race. It's allowing these sort of top 2 drivers to run the pace they can do without having to push the limits too much. But I think later at stages into this race, once we start thinking about potentially future pit stops, that's when these guys are going to be piling on the pressure as they try and race their way back past some of these guys that are trying a different strategy, because, well, it seems like there's quite a few different strategies playing out here at the moment, and Penguino in that 5th position. I don't know what strategy's on at this point. It could be any of them, but that's the beauty of it. There's so many different strategies going on at the moment. It really could swing either way, but at the moment it is Carlsberg leading the race out of Carl and Rob and Felix 1.
Yeah, this is great for Carl and Rob at the moment, because he can I believe win the championship, as
Yes.
Bandini is in 9th. And doesn't look to be improving. I just wonder, has Bandini given up too early? Has he laid down all, on the table what he's got, and Kyle Rob has just gone, well, here's what I've got on the table, and yeah, he's just delivering. He is just giving that all-round performance. But there is 13 laps left, so anything can happen.
Very true, especially around the streets of Azerbaijan here, but we've got a battle on for 3rd place. Can Tusa make the move? Will he want to make the move here? Yes, he will. He's going to go to the inside of turn 3 and get himself up into P3. And, oh, he's straight into the wall. He brakes way too late and he finds himself in the barrier there. And that's going to drop him down to P6 here. He's going to come under pressure from Hyped. And that is wing damage on the front of the Mercedes, which is going to be crucial loss of downforce. And that is really now Tusum's fight for the win out of the window as Hyped sends it up the inside. Way too deep on the brakes. Seems like everyone on the inside of corners is struggling to keep the car stopped. But it's all gone wrong for Tusum after what was looking like an easy overtake on the Alpha Tauri of Felix 1. He's thrown into the wall, and he throws into the wall again now. He's letting the cars through. Tusum, I think, knows it himself that he's made a big mistake, and that could well be his race over. Assuming there isn't any more safety cars, Penguino lost a place there as well. Penguino going slowly. What is wrong here on the Alfa Romeo? Has he hit the wall there, perhaps? He is slowing down drastically, letting multiple cars through. Is there a problem on the Alfa Romeo car? Is he got it looks like all 4 tyres are up. His wing looks in decent condition at least. He's pulling over again down the straight. What is wrong for Penguino? He's getting full throttle. It's an odd one here for the Alfa Romeo driver, who's clearly having some sort of problem behind the wheel of that car. Storm, do you have any ideas what might be going on here?
It could be non-visual damage, which we can't see, which is a new update into F1 2021. It may just be floor damage or side pod damage. We don't know because we can't see them. But yeah. Oh, as Pinguino is now into the pits, and so is Kid Smoke. So they're going to go for the 2 stop. Well, Pinguino will be doing his 1 stop. Has Kid Smoke pitted?
He has, yeah. He was one of the first to pit on the soft tyres.
Penguino is changing his wing, and he's gone for the hards. So that'll be interesting for him. He'll have the freshest hards around the track, so hopefully he can get some grid positions on them as well.
Yeah, Tusum there in the back of shot as well. He's with Penguino on the back end of the point. So whilst these guys' races seem to be sort of at the sharp end of the field, seem to be over, it's very much on still to get these minor points paying positions, because I mean, whilst the Drivers' Championship is looking more and more like it's going the way of Car and Rob, it is still to play for an Alfa versus Mercedes, because, well, at the moment, it is, I believe, Mercedes leading, and they're having the worst of the 2 days between the two teams at the moment. With Tusam out of the points and Bandini only in 6th, whereas Alfa Romeo in 10th and 2nd. This is big for these final couple of points paying positions for both the Mercedes and Alfa Romeo team, that despite the fact that Tusam and Penguino's races appear to be falling a bit off of where they could well have been earlier stages of the race, it's not over for them. They can't just go to the pits and retire. They can't give up on this, because there is a constructors battle on the card. And who's that? Is that Carlsbury, who's lost the lead of the race to Carl and Rob there. Carl and Rob has taken the lead of the race. He's gone on a little bit of a charge, and he now finds himself up into the lead of the race. Hyped, gets past Vavabet into turn 1 as well, so it's all kicked off all of a sudden. Whilst we were watching the slightly lower down cars in the constructors title fight, we've got a battle for the lead, and that is now Carl and Rob, who finds himself in the lead of this race for Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, Karen Rob just seems to be bringing that full package, that complete package, to the... Oh, as somebody has overtaken him. Oh, no, maybe not. I'm looking at somebody else. But yeah, no, I think Karen Rob, if it stays the way it is, he is on... No, wait, no, Bandini's up to P6 now. So, may have to get the calculator out for this one.
Carl and Rob is champion. As long as Carl and Rob finishes ahead of his rivals, he is champion.
Oh, okay.
He already had a bigger than 16-point lead going into this race. So it was whether his rivals outscored him or not. That was the question.
Yeah, it is. It's it is an interesting kind of but spicy race, because drivers will expect a safety car at some point. We've had one. It's just, when are we going to get the other? If Carl's...
And that's Penguino in the wall. Could that be the other that you spoke about? He's done it in the cars, and safety car is deployed. You've called that perfectly there. I mean, commentators curse, I suppose, as into the pits does come the leaders. Colin Rob and Carlsbury both into the pits. Felix won, that's his strategy out the window, as he has to pit now for some medium tyres. But it is Penguino who crashes out, coming up the car section, and is out of this race, meaning only 11 drivers remain. But let's see what all tyres all these leaders go to. It's going to be soft for Colin Rob, it's soft for Carlsbury. It's a bit of a risky one there, as it's Felix one who goes to the mediums. I don't think he's wrong there. I think the mediums could definitely be a shout here, because there's going to be... Oh, well, you know, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tight here. It depends how long the safety car is out. The field is not that bunched up at the moment, so it could take a lap or two. In which case, it may well come down to an 8-lap shootout, meaning that the softs would maybe only struggle for the final couple of laps. So, it's an interesting sort of mix-up of tyre compounds here. But it really does, I think, depend on how long the safety car stays out. That could well change the results of this race.
Yeah, and I couldn't have predicted that any more worse. And anyone want the lottery numbers while we're here? No, I'm only joking. Unfortunate there for Penguino. I know him personally as well. He'll be so gutted. He's coming quite late to PSGL this season. I think he came just before... I can't remember which track. It was just before USA, I think he came in. But yeah, safety car. And a few drivers have opted for the soft compound tyre.
Yeah, that is a mix-up of the strategies I was saying earlier, but it's... I mean, Kid Smoke and Fifth, hyped up into 4th. I think it's fair to say here, if anything goes wrong for Carl and Rob on this restart, it could well all change, because we know these top guys are going to be racing pretty hard here. Hyped up into 4th, second of the fresh medium runners, it could well swing into a situation here. If Carl and Rob does retire from this race, and Hyped gets up into the podium positions, which he would do if Carl and Rob retired and Hyped didn't lose any positions to anyone behind him, that would mean that Hyped would keep the title alive going to the finale. So Carl and Rob is in a situation here where he's going to have to sort of be smart about this. He may well have to take a second place over risking a retirement, because whilst, I mean, we're saying this as if the championship decided today. It could be decided today, but if it isn't, the chances are Carl and Rob will still be champion next time out. However, I think for Carl and Rob's sake, it would be better for him if he won the championship today, because no worries going into Interlagos. No matter what happens, he's champion. However, is that hype pitting? No, it is not. He's just taking a weird line down the straight. And I believe everyone is going to stay out on this occasion. But safety car queue is now bunched up, so this should be our last lap under safety car, hopefully for the race, but who knows.
Yeah, just looking at this, Carlsbury's left the most biggest gap that I've ever seen in a league race. Like, I think he may just get a few people just saying, close up the gap. Oh, he has now. Yeah, he just literally comes through in turn 1. He left at least a bus gap width. Yeah, so I don't know if he's just got cold tyres, but yeah, he just may want to pick up the pace a little bit.
From going on board with him, I'm fairly certain he's fuel burning at the moment. That or he wants to remove the engine from the back of the car, because the rev limiter is there for a reason. Clearly Carlsbury does not like the fact that it's there for a reason, and is using it to its best of its abilities, I suppose. I don't know, but he's trying to burn out some fuel here, is Carlsbury, so that his car is light for the finals. And of course all these safety cars, I mean if you put the car with enough fuel for the race perfectly, you'd still be overfueled because of the safety cars. So if you're overfueled before that, then that's going to be even worse for you, which is going to be something to keep an eye out. I keep an eye out for. I don't believe we can see how much weight is in how much fuel is in each car from our view, but you can see if it gets below, starts to go into the red for them. But I doubt with 2 safety cars, if anyone's still in the red, that's a worry for them. But the safety car should be in on this lap.
Yeah, as they come through the final few corners, we just got to wait for the safety car to. Yep, as the safety car is now in, and we are going to get back racing here for just around about 9 laps, 8 or 9 laps. The safety car is now going to make its way to the pit entry, and then we'll get under racing here in Azerbaijan. It's going to be Kai and Rob versus Carlsbury, the 2 C's, we might as well call them. It's going to be Alfa Romeo versus Red Bull as they make their way down to the start finish line. And it looks like Car and Rob has already bolted it, and he is going to make his way now into the start finish line as they start on to lap 18 as we are back under racing.
Yeah, Car and Rob will make his way through turns 1 now. It's a good restart there from the Alfa Romeo driver. Keeps himself a nice little steady gap, not a huge gap, but for a restart around Baku, that's a pretty nice gap to have. As was that into the wall, Valverbet may have got very close there. But these guys are all racing very hard on this restart. They can't afford to take it easy now with this little laps left in the race. They're going to have to push absolutely to the maximum. He's got to battle on for P6. It's Valverbet and Bandini. This crucial battle for Bandini. He needs to get himself up the order to have any chance of keeping this title fight alive. But at the moment stuck down in 7th place. This is not good for the Mercedes driver. He's going to look to the inside though, going to the next complex of corners. Will he go for it? No, he's going to stay back on this occasion, and will sit behind Valverbet, but is going to want to make that move sooner rather than later on the Alpine. But as I said, at the moment seems to be stuck just behind him.
Yeah, just put this into the back of your mind for the moment. If Bandini gets past Valverbet and Kid Smoke, and he's right behind Hyped, I wonder if both of them will work together to make it go till next week for the championship, so they all have a 3-way fight for that championship.
I would find that unlikely,
but it can still happen.
It could do. It could definitely happen.
Yeah, it's Azerbaijan. Anything can happen.
That's true. That's more relating to a car ended up in the barriers, though, if I'm honest. The car and Rob, though, pulled away a solid amount, but I think he must have made a mistake sort of towards the end of the second sector, because only half a second lead. I know the slipstream makes a big difference here, but with no DRS yet, as he does do the fast lap of the race, if you forget what I said. But yeah, it looks like he may have lost a little bit of time in the final part of the lap, maybe pushing a bit too hard at the start. Who quite knows? But it is Carlsbury right behind the race leader, Felix 1 here. This is a crucial time for him. If he can stay in that sort of tow, in that DRS once it is re-enabled, he could have a chance at the win here, because those soft tyres are going to die for the final 2 or 3 laps of this race. if he can be there to take advantage of it, then we could be speaking about another win for Felix. However, if he loses that DRS early on, or if maybe they spread out a little bit with Carlsbury dropping back, then that is surely his hopes to win, because even if the softs do die out, it could get to the stage where it's just too late for Felix to actually do anything about it. So he really needs to stay close to these top 2 leaders, and perhaps even work with Carlsbury here to make sure they don't lose sight of the race leader, Cohen Robb.
Yeah, this is kind of the situation that Cohen Robb would just be thinking, how many more laps have I got? How many, you know, that's what he's going to be doing. It's like, how many more laps have I got to go? I've got 6 laps left. These tyres have been on for 2 laps. Can I hold them out is the question. Because Felix won, we saw it in America. He pitted very early on them intermediates and they worked. Okay, barring a safety car may have hindered that for him, but he still got it done, as I believe Felix is catching up to Carlsbury quite quickly.
Yeah, these guys are very close. The slipstream making a big difference down this very long straight here, as DRS is now enabled in this race. So these guys could well get to a stage where they start battling. I believe we do have a battle of Bandini and Valabet once again dueling it out for that P6 position. And Bandini takes position into turn 1, but could that be a better exit for Valabet? He's under pressure from his team as well. Oh, they're getting very close. They're in the wall. Bandini's down the runoff area, and he's around and in the barriers. It's all gone wrong for Bandini. Ends up down in the runoff areas, down at turn 2, and that is his chance at the race over unless there is a late safety car here. He will not be happy at all there. That was a very interesting incident to happen, and hard to really call whose fault that was, but hard racing here in Baku. It could that's surely now Bandini's championship hopes over, as around goes Dustley. Dustley's had some sort of issue here, and virtual safety car is deployed for debris, I have to assume, and yes, it will be the front wing of Dustley that is somewhere on the racetrack, certainly not attached to his car. That is something I can say, but that is Bandini's championship hopes out now, and well, going to the race there with 3 drivers in title contention. There is now 2 realistically, but Cohen Robb still in control of this race, and this virtual safety car will help out the soft tyre runners greatly. A little less time on those tyres can only do good things for those guys, and I mean, Felix 1 won't be happy to see it. However, virtual safety car is going to give him perhaps they are going to go green just in time for the long straight. Let's see how this one goes. Can Carlsbury take the lead away? Will he want to take the lead away here from Cohen Robb as they once again restart racing here on the streets of Azerbaijan? Down the straight, and we've already got a yellow flag, and that is Dustley, who's had an incident, and he's appears to be stuck in the wall with some sort of issue here. But is Carlsbury in chase of our leader Cohen Robb? Will he go for the move? He does not go for the move into turn 1. That is good news, I suppose, for Felix 1, who's going to have to watch this one at the back. Dustley is now once again going again, and green flags back all the way around the racetrack, but we've got some brilliant racing here as Bandini enters the pit lane.
Yeah, I think that's such a heartbreak for Bandini. I didn't quite catch what happened. Oh, Hype, Scholes and Kidsmoke are having a battle.
Into the wall, Hyped. Hyped has gone into the wall there. Is that wing damage for the Haas car? If that is wing damage, that could well end the title fight there. Let's wait and see how Hyped can handle these next couple of corners. He's struggling anyway. It's not looking good for the Haas driver. Let's see. We'll have to wait and see. Will he pit at the end of this lap? As he's going to get driven into the back of there, and he's going to get punted wide. They're going to go side by side the castle. No, they're not. That's probably smart on there from Kidsmoke to not try that one. Always he loses the rear. They're getting very tight up through this part of the racetrack. And let's see. Has Hyped got wing damage? As there is yellow flags, and that is Bandini who's gone down a runoff area. He's missed that corner. And the Mercedes driver, it's gone from bad to worse for him now in this race. Nearly 40 seconds behind the field. But up at the front, we do have a race for the lead.
Yeah, and I don't think we would get a safety car right now, but anything can happen. We may still get a virtual safety car if anything happened. But look at the train. They may even go 3 wide here as they now come down the start-finish line as Kidsmoke gets past Hype Shoals for P4. And yeah, that is literally... Whoa, what's going on here? Very aggressive weaving by Kidsmoke as they go into turn 1. That wasn't Kidsmoke. that was Sunboy weaving aggressively right in front of Kid Smoke. Yeah. So that may go to the stewards, but we'll leave that for them to deal with. But yeah, that's quite interesting.
Yeah, this battle is getting very tasty down this lower end of the, well, I say lower, in the sort of mid area of the points here. It feels like they're in, but that's just because the top three have broken away from the entire field here. I've got a feeling that Felix One's tyres are starting to come into their own as he's really piling the pressure on the other two leaders. But he's got to save a little bit more ERS at the moment, and he can't risk going for a move yet because, I mean, if you get into the lead, you put yourself in a position where you're going to be the one that's without DRS, and then you're the one that's vulnerable.
Sorry to interrupt you there. Carlsbury touched the wall coming out of Castle. I just see him clip it. It's not broke the wing, but I think he's got some floor damage. Quite interesting, only one driver has a penalty, which is Dustley.
That is, honestly, it surprises me a little bit. Baku isn't a big penalty track, but it is certainly a track where you can pick up penalties. So I'm a little surprised by that, if I'm honest. But let's see, on this lap, it could all be Felix One that's going for the move on this occasion. Might have to bump draft Carlsbury here. Let's see what they do down this straight now. Colin Robb is going to be under big pressure for the lead of the race. They're all going to pull out. Felix One's going to go down the middle as he knows he's going to stay with Carlsbury. Will he go for the move? He's going to go to the outside of turn 1. The two Red Bull-owned cars are going wheel to wheel through the first corner here. It is Carlsbury who leads the race, but can Felix One go all the way around the outside? He's going to do it as he dives into turn 2 into the lead. Goes Felix One there. Brilliant overtake. As hyped. Has a problem down at turn 1 and appears to be out of this race as well, and he is down the runoff area and down in 8th position. But as Felix One has lost the lead, has he? Yes, he has. Carlsbury has came back at him into turn 3. Carlsbury back to lead this race. It is getting very tasty in the battle for the lead now, with Colin Robb sort of watching this battle go on ahead of him now. He's been the leader for a few laps. He's now got the chance to use up some DRS as Dusty gets another penalty. But this battle is really kicking off now for the win here in Baku.
Yeah, getting quite spicy here in Azerbaijan as Colin Robb now drops to P3 as Twosome and Kid Smoke having a little bit of a battle there. But the main action here is for the front three, which is being led by Carlsbury.
I believe now, with the incidents that happened for both Hype Scholz and Bandini, unless something horribly goes wrong for Colin Robb, and I really desperately hope I haven't commentated cursed him there, he will be champion here. So if anything, unless Colin Robb has something horrific happen to him, he will be the champion this season.
Yeah, as there's 3 laps to go. Felix One is right on the back of Carlsbury. It's going to be the 2 Red Bull engine, Honda-powered engine cars going at it. And Felix One has got past. Carlsbury is not going to defend that, but he's going to have a very fast Welshman behind him as the Alfa Romeo is having a look as well.
Yeah, they make their way out of turn 2 now. Can Carlsbury fight back here on Felix One? He's going to give it a good old go. Got the DRS, he's going to go to the inside as he, yes he is. As they dive into turn 3, they're absolutely side by side. And into the wall, Felix One, did he brush the wall there ever so slightly? Looks like he's got away with it if he did. But that is Carlsbury back into lead the race. Very hard racing. But so far from what I've seen, it's been very fair racing. And let's hope, I really hope that keeps up here. Colin Robb in a position to sort of watch on. In this 3rd position, they're going to race again, are they? Are they going to surely not go wheel to wheel to this corner? No, they don't. Wisely, Felix One backs out of that one. But is he going to go for no, surely not side by side into the castle. Again, Felix One wisely backing out of that move. And the racing getting so close here in Baku. It is brilliant stuff to watch. And I think Colin Robb might be enjoying himself sitting in P3 at the moment. Just watching these two battle it out in front of him. He can sit back and sort of, well, enjoy himself. With these two battling, he's not really going to lose the DRS. So it's looking very good at the moment for Colin Robb to seal the championship today.
Yeah, as Colin Robb is etching ever so close to that F9 championship. As these two in front are battling, Colin Robb might just not want to get too close because he may end up... set the 1 yellow flags. That is Dusty. As Felix One is going to go round the outside of... Carlsbury lost track there for a minute as Dusty is out of the race, and he was in the championship fight earlier on this season, but it's not gone to plan for him today, as Felix 1 regains the race lead, but Carlsbury is going to go back again. No, the door gets closed again on that one. And yeah, for Kyron Robb, he can just sit here and just let them fight it, as this Sector 1 is coming up. Oh, hold on a minute, yellow flags are out. Carlsbury can't go for the move.
Carlsbury in the wall, they're both in the wall. Carlsbury squeezed into the barriers there by Felix 1. He's going to send it up the inside of the next corner. Kyron Robb watching this battle from P3 at the moment. They're really getting aggressive now in this battle for the win. And maybe a little bit early. But there's 2 laps left in the race. Well, a lap and a half, let's be real. But they're still, that's a little bit early. This race could well be decided on the final straight. And well, that would be memorable if it did. Felix 1 sliding a bit there. Kyron Robb continuing to just watch this battle happen up ahead of him. And well, it is. I think he's enjoying it just as much as we are. Just only difference is he has to avoid it when there's when they inevitably have a bit of rubbing, whereas we can shout at it and enjoy it as it happens. But Felix 1 all over Carlsbury here. This is brilliant to watch.
Yeah, as they are gearing up for the final lap here in Azerbaijan. 25 laps completed, and we are now going to come to the final lap here, as it's a 3-way fight in the race. But at the moment, Kyron Robb will be your season 29 F9 PSGL Drivers' Championship at the moment, as his 2 championship rivals unfortunately couldn't get up to the good positions needed. And they are now going to come to the final lap here, lap 26 of 26, as they're going to go 3 wide into turn 1. Oh, Kyron Robb luckily backs out there as Felix 1 goes round the outside of the Red Bull. It's the 2 Honda engines battling. It's Red Bull versus AlphaTauri, Felix 1 versus Carlsbury. Kyron Robb may just want to back off here and not get into any instance, as he is going to be crowned champion, as Kyron Robb is going to back off, I believe, as Carlsbury is now going to have a look, but he doesn't, as they come through the 2 corners before the castle section, and Felix 1 has a little bit of a gap to... Oh, as Kyron Robb is right on the back of the Red Bull, he might have a look. He's having a look as they come through the final corner before the castle section. Sector 1 yellow flags. That's Paul D having an incident in P7 as they go through the castle section all successfully. 3 drivers in this race fight, as it looks to be Felix 1 had the pit strategy nailed on, and he's going to take potentially another race win here in F9 after taking the race win last week in the American Grand Prix. But as they come through the left and the right, Felix 1, he's played the strategy right, and he avoided any contact with the wall, and he is going to take the race win here in PSGL F9, as he will now cross the line very shortly, as he is now coming down the straight. And that's Felix 1 is your race winner here with Carlsbury in P2, but your drivers champion for season 29 in F9 on the PS platform is the Alfa Romeo driver of Kyron Robb 28. He is your drivers champion in Azerbaijan.
What a drive there from Kyron Robb, and getting second right on the line. A brilliant race there, but it's more than the brilliant race. It's a brilliant season for Kyron Robb, as he has really just been the consistent front runner that is what you need to be in a league like this, where the racing has been so close, where the drama has been high. He just needed to be that safe pair of hands consistently week in, week out, and that's exactly what he was. And that's why he is your Season 29 F9 champion here on PlayStation. But today, the day belongs to Felix 1 on those medium tyres. A brilliant pit strategy call there. He knew the softs would struggle on the final couple of laps, and well, he played that to perfection, taking the lead just when he needed to, knew what he was doing, and a brilliant win there from Felix, who puts himself in a very strong situation.
Yeah, well done, and congratulations to Felix. It is his day as well as the in-game driver of the day is Faberbet. Also, massive well done to Carlsbury, who takes P2, and we will just quickly mention the 2 championship rivals, Hyped and Bandini. They gave everything possible over the course of the season, but unfortunately they will be taking up up the runners-up place and the third place in the championship, as the drivers on the podium celebrate with the virtual champagne. It is a Felix 1 champion race for him, as he takes the race win here in Baku for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. But the talking point this evening is that Karen Robb is your F9 Drivers' Champion, as Felix 1 takes the race win here, with Karen Robb taking P2. Carlsbury is in third, Sunny Boy in fourth, Tusum in fifth, Vavabet in sixth, Hyped Shoals in seventh, Kidsmoke in eighth, Pauldy in ninth. Rounding off the top 10 is FVR Bandini, Dustley in 11th, Penguino in 12th, and Pachuca in 13th, and TRT Lars in 14th of the DNFs. So that is championship wrapped up for the drivers, as Karen Robb takes P2 here today, and he takes the Drivers' Championship.
What a day for him there, taking home a crucial finish and enough points to make himself the Season 29 F9 champion there. As I said, it's a brilliant season for him. That 3 wins on his way so far this season. Who knows, he may well add another next time out. But it's just an incredibly consistent season, always been there. I mean, just looking at his results this season, he has scored points in all but one race, and that one race he did not finish. So that just shows just how strong he has been this season. And I mean, it was near impossible to beat him if you compare him to his 2 title rivals. I mean, just looking through here, Bandini, he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 non-points finishes, and Hype Shoals had 1, 2, 3 non-points finishes. So it is really showing there the difference that was made in the championship really did come in the form of consistency, and you cannot fault Karen Robb this season in what has been a very, very strong championship put up by him.
Yeah, fantastic drive from all the drivers this season, not just Karen Robb, but all the drivers that have participated in F9. But the racing does not stop here in PSGL. Next week they'll be going through Baku, and we'll be back next week for the season finale in Sao Paulo for the Brazilian Grand Prix. So if you're not wanting to wait until we come back next week, the rest of the race in PSGL for Baku will happen across the week on PS, and I believe still on PC as well. So you're never short of some of the action here in PSGL.
But that is it now for this week's race. Next week we are in Interlagos. Make sure you join us then for what should be an exciting final race of the season. But until then, it's goodbye from me and goodbye from Storm. See you then.
Good night, guys.